What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush, Let's Talk Jets. This video has nothing to do about the NFL or the New York Jets. If you're looking for that kind of content, please check out the rest of the channel. As most of you know by now, I'd like to have discussions about mental health issues. I've been wanting to do this video for a couple months now, but just been so busy doing a lot of different things. And in light of all the recent occurrences in our world where suicide is becoming a big topic and discussion, and it's unfortunate where you see the passing of people and the reactions, and I think it kind of reiterates how much we don't really know as a world about mental health issues and how debilitating they are. I think the one thing we do know is that suicide is a permanent answer to a temporary problem. As help is always a talk, a phone call or text away. But there's a lot of conversations that need to happen, open, honest conversations. And the reason why I'm saying this is I deal with it. I deal with anxiety and depression for a long period of time. And when people talk about it, you listen, you observe. I'm not a therapist, I'm not an analyst. I just speak from my own personal experiences. But depression and anxiety is not something just snap out of it. And it's not having a bad day. It's not being sad. It's a feeling that overcomes you, where you don't comprehend your financial status. You don't comprehend the house you live in. It's a mind where you don't see the light. You don't see positives. You don't feel good mentally, physically, and it overcomes you. And anxiety can be completely debilitating too, where at a point in time, it cost me a job, man, where I just couldn't function. I was so overwhelmed with this anticipation, the anxiety, just the feelings inside of me that I couldn't shake. And I didn't want to, at that point, it was so, there's not as much science as there is now to figure out how to handle it. And I just had to make a change, and you had different things. So it's a very difficult thing to deal with, and the conversations need to happen. And then when you're trying to find ways to deal with it, you need to understand that there's many times it's not a permanent solution when you find that whatever answer it is. So for me, for a long period of time, working out was the answer, and martial arts was the answer. And it was really more of the martial arts is I was in some really dark places and really tough times. And it was having the schedule, having to be somewhere at a certain time and do certain things, kind of got me out of my little igloo, my little hole that I was in. Like, all right, listen, I got to be at boxing at 5, kickboxing at 6, and while you're there, you're improving yourself. You're releasing all that. You're releasing toxins, releasing energy. You're kind of feeling better. You're also establishing some kind of friendships. So that helped a little bit. Now, I'm not saying working out for everybody, but it was that routine of getting out of what I was doing, making that commitment to myself, saying, listen, I need help, man. I can't keep staying here. I don't want to stay in this spot. And that's the most important thing. It's understanding you have these issues. You're not alone. There's many people all across the world that are dealing with these things, but saying, listen, I need to get help. I don't want to stay here. And it's just around the corner. So for me, it was working out, like boxing, kickboxing, did that for a long time. Then I took up running, which was fine. And another thing was really important to me is music, where to me, a lot of times if you watch TV, whether it's the news, you get kind of down, or if you find yourself stuck on social media, you can go down all kinds of rabbit holes, and maybe you can feel worse about yourself or feel more paranoid, or not paranoid, but more like this world's chaos. There's all this political stuff going on. All these people are fighting and arguing, all this negativity. Like, you got to unplug from it. So for me, music became a big thing, and I talk to my girlfriend about this all the time, where it's like Shinedown had a huge impact on my life, where you have those really down moments, or even Linkin Park with down moments, and you're just tuning out and listening to music, and you're going for a walk or you're going for a run or whatever, and you listen to the lyrics and you get inspired, and it's like a little escape, right? So you have all those things, but even with that, sometimes it doesn't always work out. And I had this myself where, running is a big crutch for me. And I was doing a race probably 3 months ago, and I'm pretty competitive, and I'm in a race, and all of a sudden I feel my foot, something's wrong. And I'm like, oh man, and I knew it was pretty bad. So instead of being the smart person and walking away from, like, let's stop, I'm gonna walk the rest of the way, I'm like, well, I'm hurt, I'm gonna go for it. Not the smartest thing to do. So I go for it, and I just endure it and make probably things 30 times worse than it should have been. Actually plays pretty well, but then after that, I was hurt. I could barely walk, I could barely run. And now I had my normal anxiety that I deal with on a daily basis, which a lot of times it's social anxiety, which is even harder. I didn't have my outlet, I couldn't run. So at first you're like, okay, it's been a day or two, and my issue wasn't getting any better. So now when you have anxiety, you overthink things, you forecast things in your mind that's going to happen, you anticipate things are going to happen, and I took away that crutch. And then a lot of times when you can't do certain things, then when you panic, what do? You eat, you drink, you do things, so that I'm gaining weight, you feel even worse about yourself. Like, it kind of all started spiraling out of control, and I'm like, this is awful. Like, I don't know. And I found it where it's when you have these situations of really bad anxiety, it makes it difficult to go to work. And I'm kind of like a public person, man. Like I teach in a school, I do shows, I have like all these different things. And now it's like you become overcome and you almost want to go into a shell. You kind of just want to kind of seclude yourself from environment, for society. You don't want to go to anything. And meanwhile, I had to go to parties and all these different things like family events. And you're like, how the hell am I going to get through this? And it was not easy, man, because it happened for a long period of time. And then I was like, all right, well, I can't run. I'm going to go for walks. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to stay away from social media. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to talk to people. And that's the most important thing is when you're going through it, you're not alone. And just take the step to talk to somebody about it. It doesn't have to be, it could be a therapist. It could be an online chat. It could be, they have all kinds of hotlines. It could be your best friend. It could be your partner, your family, whatever it is. You say, listen, I'm struggling right now. I'm really going through it. I don't know how to get out of it. And I had to figure it out too. Like I had to modify things. I had to stop drinking caffeine. I had to stop doing all these things because I was so I was just kind of melting down without my crutches of doing it and realizing, you know what, there's got to be other ways to handle this. There's got to be other ways to fight through this and get through these times. And thankfully, it took a little period of time, but I found other things to do. So again, mental health issues should never be discounted. You're never alone. Try your best to get through it. And I know it's not easy. These conversations are not easy for anybody, man. But what you'll realize when you have these conversations is people all around you want to help. And thankfully, there are so many musicians and athletes that are being more outspoken about it because they're dealing with it and they're seeing their friends and family deal with it. And they're seeing their loved ones sometimes be taken away from us far too early. And I've had that a lot in my life where I've had friends that have gone far too soon and you have so many questions. But the one thing you do see is the aftermath of when they leave, all the hurt, the pain, and all of this. And it's just it just can't happen. You got to find a way to get through it and make that commitment. So I guess the moral of the story is, listen, it's not always going to be easy. And if you know somebody, I guess the other big point here too is, for those of you that don't deal with these issues, we right now live on our phones, man. It doesn't hurt to send that text. Hey man, how you doing? Like just to check in on people. And a lot of times what happens in these situations, and I'm guilty as myself, is when you deal with anxiety and depression, we are like magicians, man. In person, in public, you'll never know we're dealing with it until we finally get out of the office or the gym or the party, whatever it is, and into our own cars or home. And then we're back into that, you have a facade up that nobody can see. So whenever, I know one of my good friends who took his own life, sucked. It's like you didn't know it because he's always smiling, right? So when that happens, you're like, you know what? And it was always like, hey man, a text. Hey, we want to get a burger. You want to get a beer? Do you want to get something? Just reach out to people and say, hey, what's up? You never know how much that can do. That can change a mood. It can open up a valve. Hey, you know what? You may get the response you don't expect, and you may be able to help somebody. So that's kind of my talk for today. It's just seeing all these, the passing away of the player, and then other people, somebody in our community passed away way too early. And it was man, it's just a conversation that just can't stop. It can't. There's a lot of people struggling in silence and suffering in silence. And the more we have these conversations, the more it's going to help people. So that's about it. I'll talk to you guys later.